Podcast, your source for everything iRacing, including race reviews, driver interviews, opinions, discussions, and much more. Here's your host, Mike Ellis.
Welcome to the iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacer is a Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters: Chewy Side 55, Carlos Fonseca, Dave Smith, and special guest PJ Sturgios. Hey guys.
Hey Mike.
Well, thanks for coming. And PJ, let's start off with you. Thanks for coming on the podcast. Let's learn a little bit about your iRacing career. When did you get started on iRacing, and how did you hear about it?
Well, I was a longtime user of the NASCAR 2003 racing season and the whole Papyrus game line all the way back to NASCAR racing. So in the forums and the sim racing world over there, of course, iRacing was quite the stir back in 2006, 2007, and finally once it went public, I got just before I was able to get one of the beta spots, and in August or July of 2008, and pretty much haven't looked back since then. So I've been a member for 8 years now.
Nice. And so these days, how often are you racing? Is it daily, weekly?
During the DWC season, it's kind of tough because it takes so much time to develop those setups for the A car that you pretty much race just that and NIS or A class. So probably only race these days 2-3 times a week.
But you're doing practice though, right?
Yeah, practice for the World Championship level series usually at least 5 days a week. So still quite on it quite a bit, but more of it is practice and less of it has been racing lately.
Right. All right. And what series do you normally run? Now let's spell this out. Obviously, you're in the Peak Antifreeze series, which is mainly oval, but we've seen your name over at the World Championship in the F1 car too.
Yep, started off my World Championship career over on the roadside. Did 2 years of the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series in 2012 and 2013. And I have to say, that is probably the most difficult racing there is in the entire sim, hands down. So after struggling with that for a couple of years, I found my way over to the Peak Antifreeze series. And I've been running that. This is my third season now, and it's actually also my first season in the Blank Pane GT World Championship Series. So this year we're doing the double between the NASCAR and the Blank Pane Series. So that between the two, that keeps me very busy.
No, I didn't know you were doing the Blank Pane. Who are your teammates there? Because that is a team event, right?
Yep, there. My teammate is my brother Jake, who he does all 3 World Championship Series. I think he's the only one, of course, who does that. And William Levesque and Phil Diaz, who Phil is actually my spotter on the oval side and on the road side too, but on the road side he actually gets to race every now and then. And of course William is the guy, he's our fastest driver on the team, so he's the one that you see at the end of the race pushing all out, running, he was third last time in the last race at Brand, so he's had a really good season so far. We all have, so we're second in points over there right now too, so has a chance to bring home some money this year if everything goes to plan.
Yeah, it is obviously we're impressed. You're running, these guys are running in all these top series, and it's literally the top of the crop across the board. We actually run in some of those series. I think last year we actually tried to run for the Blank Pane qualifier, but I don't know where did we finish, Carlos? Like 200th or something?
Oh, I don't know. You guys ran one race and quit. Me and Jose ran that one to the end, but yeah, not the best.
Yeah, so anyway, we're not at that level, but it's interesting to hear about that. So cool. Let's talk about your hardware. What kind of wheel and pedals do you have, and how many monitors?
Well, I have a G27 with a couple small modifications. I put kind of customized my pedals a little bit. We have the Bodnar cable, of course, so we have the Bodnar software to go along with it to adjust kind of your travel on the pedals and your stops, which is really a nice piece of software to have. And I also put some stiffer brake pedal and gas pedal springs in it to get them a little bit stiffer and more to my liking. But besides that, yeah, I have a triple screen setup, three Asus 144 hertz monitors. Yeah, triple screen setup. They're each 24-inch monitors, so just upgraded to that last year. That was one of the best upgrades I've made, going from a single to a triple. And I have a Derek Spear Designs button box that I use for all my buttons and switches.
Nice. So, have you thought about going to hydraulic pedals or some kind of pedal upgrade? I mean, it sounds like you've tricked out your G27 pedals pretty good.
Yeah, I also have a set of ECCI pedals. They're not the hydraulic ones. They're the ones that's basically a G27 internals on a custom ECCI frame, which I have to say are really nice, but I struggle with them with the GT3 cars and the anti-lock braking. I find it's a lot easier to kind of work the ABS on the GT3 cars with just the G27 pedals, and because of that, I don't see myself upgrading simply because of the GT3 ones. I've gotten the chance to use a couple of load cell pedals, and I really have to say I like them for cars like any of the NASCAR stuff, late models, super late models, and especially the V8 supercars on the roadside. But some of those cars with ABS are very tricky to drive with a hydraulic pedal, at least to me. Maybe I just need to adjust my settings or something, but yeah, I'm quite happy with the setup I have right now.
That sounds great. All right, third-party software like obviously TeamSpeak, but anything else like dashboards and whatnot?
No, not really. I'd like to get one of these dashboard programs, but everything I need is usually on the in-game interface. Might be something I might try out this winter during the off season. But for other third-party programs, I guess, like I said, the Bodnar software. I also use Motec and Mew pretty extensively, although they aren't things you necessarily use while you're inside the game driving, but they are great help tools outside of the game. So that's pretty much it for me. I kind of try to keep it simple, and I find that if I try to have all these cool gadgets and stuff to play with while I'm driving, that just leads to getting distracted and find easy ways to outsmart yourself.
Okay, and this is the part of the show I usually go over like your stats, but iRacing actually has temporarily disabled the stats. Please try again later. But I do see your iRating 87.95 on the oval side. Holy cow! And on the road, it doesn't say, does it?
7,000.
7,000. So very good. I mean, that's a number certainly to be proud of. We don't have any other numbers to share with the podcast. Normally we talk about winning percentage in career and stuff like that, but I'm sure it's pretty high.
Yeah, I think it's around 25% to 30% range. Kind of fluctuates between there.
That's what I was thinking it would be, yeah.
Yeah, about the same oval and road. Not as cool as Gregor's 50 plus, but I mean,
right.
That's Gregor, and there's only one of him. So, but I do have to say I did get him with the overall iRating combined between oval and road. So it helps that he hasn't raced an oval race in about 7 years. But you take what you can get.
Yeah, we try to follow both those series, and I think it's certainly impressive what you and your brother have done in kind of crossing over, because not a lot of guys do that. We don't see Hutu coming over and racing ovals.
Yeah, it used to happen a lot more. Rich Towler, of course, was one of the main ones. 2010 to win the oval championship and then finish second in road. So that was impressive one of all time. But yeah, I've had a few guys come back and forth, but these days it seems, especially in the early days,
Right.
I mean, yeah, like Ray used to do both, and Davies, Prather, but those guys kind of all seem to focus on one or the other these days. So it's cool. Jake and I, it's kind of cool to be the ones that do both.
And do well. That's the other part of it. So, we're seeing you guys in the, in the top 5 or better. And so, tell us about your team. I mean, you talked about some of your team members, but what is the name of your team and how do they support you in these various series?
Well, racing, it's a group of guys live for speed days. Then they kind of came over to iRacing and formed a team back in 2010. Jake and I were some of the first iRacers to join it, so we've been together ever since. It's kind of a really international team. We have guys from all over the world: Finland, the UK, Sweden, lots of US and Canadian drivers, and kind of it's cool to have an international perspective on it, as it can race Formula One cars at the top level and sports cars and Miatas and everything across the board. It's kind of cool to be a part of the most versatile and one of the most successful teams in iRacing right now.
Well, absolutely. And, talking about that, you're second in points and in the oval there. And we've been watching closely, and that Watkins Glen race, I wanted you to talk a little bit about that. And there was a lot of discussion after that week on social media and whatnot about that last lap, last corner pass on Conti. And so just give us your perspective and your story on that. A lot of people had a lot to say about that, but it was a racing deal as far as I was concerned, and it's for the win. So, I think it was a good move. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up watching short track racing at my local quarter mile and 3/8 mile tracks, and that was part of the race, the way it was at those tracks and your super late models and modified and such. Is if the leader can get to you in the last turn of the last lap, a little bumper is just the way it was. So I ran up down Conti from a good 30 seconds those last 15 laps on the new tires. So hated to just lay over there and just say, oh, well, I'll take second here. I didn't quite get to him, so I decided to give him a little bump. Fortunately, it hit him a little harder than I would have liked because I didn't really judge the speed differential right on my fresher tires. So he was braking a little bit earlier than I had anticipated, but that's kind of my fault for hitting him a little too hard. But all in all, I just kind of moved him up the track. It didn't take him out and completely crash him, which I didn't want to do. So he was able to still at least hold on for third. And then, of course, I think the part people don't realize about it is right behind me, I had Nick Ottinger, who was probably going to give the bumper to me if I didn't do that. So,
yeah.
I know it's easy for everybody to sit there and judge, oh, I would have done this, I would have done that, but you don't know what it's like until you put yourself into the position of racing for the win in the last turn or the last lap of a peak antifreeze series race. It's hard to really think of how it's all going to go down all in the heat of the moment there with the red mist in your eyes. So overall, I probably would have done the same thing, and I know someday Mike is going to give it right back to me in the race, and I wouldn't be mad at him if he did. So that's just the way we race at that level. And
yeah, and the championship too is part of the equation because you guys were so tight in points, and that allowed you to take the point lead too. Were you thinking about that part of it too?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, so the point race has been tight all season long, and heck, even if we do somehow tie at the end, the number of wins is what's going to decide that. So the more races you win, the better off you'll be in the end.
Well, my take is, and if anybody saw the truck race over the weekend, that's the wrong way to do it. The way John Hunter Nemechek won the truck race, the way that you won that Watkins Glen race is the right way to do it. So there's a way to move somebody out of the way on the last corner of the last lap and win a NASCAR race, and that's acceptable completely. And the way John Hunter did it was kind of unacceptable, I would say. But of course, you still give him the win, but it wasn't very sportsmanlike.
Didn't the same thing happen between Kurt Busch and Ricky Craven? Same exact thing.
Yeah.
Well, you saw Sonoma was Tony Stewart and Denny Hamlin.
It's just
nobody was making
nowadays.
noise when Stewart, dumped Denny.
Right, and he didn't completely flat out turn Denny into the wall multiple times like Hunter Nemechek did yesterday to the double O car there. So I think hitting him once, okay. You just keep laying on him and trying to intentionally crash him. That's kind of where it goes too far, in my opinion.
I didn't understand why he had to hit him like all the other times. One bump, and he still probably would have had the momentum and got away with it without running him into the fence.
Yeah. Nemechek is young, and he just over-drilled it. He just overshot it, I think. And once they're off the track, there's, what are you going to do?
Hold it to the floor.
NASCAR style, huh? Okay, so Ray Alfala, your competitor in the Oval Series, he was on our show right after that Watkins Glen race. And as usual, whoever comes on our show usually wins right afterwards. So maybe that'll keep going, that streak we have. Because that's exactly what happened, is Ray went on and won the next race after coming on iRacers Lounge. So I said, look, this is a tight battle. Kyle, you got to get us PJ, and we got to give him equal luck here. So that's why you're here, PJ.
That's good to know. Yeah, I heard a few tidbits of the interview with Ray. That was pretty cool. Yeah, Darlington, using the extra little good luck boost would definitely help in there. It's a track that's kind of been the Achilles heel of my entire iRacing NASCAR career, if you want to call it that. Back in the old days, I've had many, many crashes at Darlington, but last year I finally broke the streak of bad luck and snagged a top 5 last year in the Peak Antifreeze Series race. Of course, Ray was second in that one, but if I could even get a top 5 out of this Darlington race, I'd be really happy with that. And then go into the last couple tracks. New Hampshire, of course, is my home track. I think I never finished outside the top 10 in Peak Antifreeze Series, so I'm really looking forward to that one. One of my favorites. And then Homestead ran really well there last year too. So did Ray. But Homestead's going to be a fun track with the multi-groove racing and moving around the racetrack to pick your way by people. It's going to be a lot of fun. So looking forward to those last two. But I could use all the luck I can get here going into Darlington next week.
Well, we'll be watching for sure, and good luck to you. Tell us real quick, what happened to you last week? I think you've definitely lost the points lead by quite a bit, too, last week, because he did win, but I forgot where you finished. You were down 10th or so?
Yeah, last week was a bit of a struggle. I finished 14th. Michigan, of course, has been another Achilles heel of mine in iRacing. Not so much that I crashed there, but it's just tough to find speed at that track, and I think we found something. It was a lot more oriented towards the long run, but it wouldn't really come in until about 20 laps into the run, and then we were about fastest cars in the track was Jake and I with the setup we were running. Ray was driving something a little bit different than us, so his was more oriented towards the short run, and in that race, pit strategy really bit us. I stayed out on old tires once when I shouldn't have pit, and took 4 when I should have took 2 at the end with that pit stop with 25 to go. That really cost me about 8 spots at track position, and never had a green run longer than 2 laps to be able to make it back up, which is really tough because you pit for 4 tires thinking, hey, get good 10-lap run here to pick my way through a few cars once their tires start to fall off, and it just never played out that way. So it's easy to look back and say, hey, pit strategy should have been this or that, but yeah, it doesn't always go your way in these races, unfortunately, and definitely kind of put ourselves in a little bit of a hole because of it.
Yep. I'm looking at the points. You're 15 back from Ray. That's 15's a long ways, but if Ray's pulling up top threes every race, it's going to be tough. You're going to have to be right there with him, huh?
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, he hasn't had a single swarm of bad luck yet this season, so that I think he's due for a little bit something there. Everyone else has had their fair share of bad luck this season.
Like a disconnect or something, right?
Yeah, you never know. Even just like I had cautions that come out at the wrong time. It's just never happened that way for him yet this year, and it's pretty amazing to see that. You never see that in racing for somebody to have that kind of luck throughout the entire season. But I think he's due for some. But we'll control what we can control and try not to worry about him as much until we get to Homestead, because there's a lot that can happen in 3 races, especially at Darlington and New Hampshire. Those tracks are wild and rough and tumble, so anything can happen these next couple of weeks.
Yep.
As Kevin Harvick would put it, he's just got that horseshoe up his butt.
Golden horseshoe.
Yeah, knock that out. All right, Kyle, are you there? Kyle joined. I don't know if he's with us.
Looks like he's muted.
Okay. All right, let's move on. Let's talk. Let's go through our topic list.
Oh, there he is.
Hey, Kyle, are you there?
I am.
All right,
welcome,
you're up next.
BJ. Sorry I was late tonight. Welcome, BJ. Nice to have you here.
Thanks, Kyle.
I guess next, there wasn't a Peak Antifreeze Series race, so we're bringing up the 2016 iRacing World Championship GP. They ran, Martin Kroenke pulled off another win. What's that, 2 weeks in a row now? And looks like Hutu finished out 5th.
Suzuka?
Yep.
Yeah. And our boy Mitchell DeJong finished 2nd.
Yeah.
What do you think of Mitchell, PJ? We've been kind of following him, and he's a talent, huh?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I know Coanda, of course, is NX Racing's arch rival team, but I have a lot of respect for what Martin and Mitchell have done this season. Martin, of course, the last couple of weeks has been on absolute fire. Us NX guys have been searching for something in the setup, but we're missing something big on it. And, of course, the F1 car is very tricky to set up, trying to tune your ERS and your downforce just right. And, of course, Suzuka is one of the trickiest tracks just because there's every variety of corner you can throw in there. And but yeah, Mitchell, I mean, the way you see how well he does at the real technical tracks, Suzuka, and especially the next one over at Coda, is going to be, it was one of his best. Last year, he got the pole there by almost half a second, which is unheard of at this level of sim racing. So Mitchell is really fun to watch. Of course, he's being a global rallycross racer in the real world. So you have some serious real world talent too. Like to see him be successful. It's always cool to see the iRacers go on and compete at the top level in real life too.
Yeah, I think that's why we were following him, because he is a real racer too. Let's see some other notables. Your brother Jake, 19th, and Hutu finished 5th.
Yep, and also a shout out to my buddy Yanni Tourmala, who wound up on the podium
3rd
to put himself up into the. He's real close to the top 3 in points here in these last few races, and that's of course is a nice bump up in payout if you can get up to the top 3 spots in points. So I'm sure he's going to keep pushing hard. He's been having an amazing season this year between the Blank Paint Series, which of course his team is leading right now, and we're second to them, and where he is with the Grand Prix Series. It's cool to see Yanni have a breakout season like that.
Absolutely. All right, let's jump to the next topic. NIS, NASCAR iRacing Series. That's something that we run every week, and it's Darlington. I'll go first. On Wednesday, running top 10 most of the night. Got loose all by myself in 2. I had it saved, but the guy behind me didn't even bother to check up and just ran right through me. No apologies over the radio, nothing. Blown engine, P17. Thursday was also a rough night. Had 18 incidents out of 22. Near the end was running 7th, which was a great run for me, and was side by side with the guy coming to the checker. Much like Carlos, what you mentioned with Kyle or Kurt Busch and Ricky Craven, we were like dooring each other coming to the line, and he hit me, and I went up into the wall after the line, but it DQ'd me and put me a lap down. And it finished 11th instead of 7th. So, yeah, pretty tough week. Saturday and Sunday were much the same. I got some finishes, but nothing really to speak of. Carlos, how was your race?
Like they all are. Terrible.
You didn't run too much, right?
I only ran one race, but I finished 7th or 6th or something like that. But I couldn't race nobody because, well, I hit the wall like so many times. I had 2 incidents left and 1 touch with another car and I'm out. So just by surviving, I finished 7th.
That's the thing. If you in an NIS race, if you get to the end, you're usually top 10. So there's a lot of attrition, it seemed like.
Just in that race all season, I've been trying the whole surviving approach and finished outside the top 10 every single time.
Well, yeah.
You have to race hard from lap 1 in this series for some reason.
Yeah, that's for sure. I found myself on Friday night. My goal was just to make it to that halfway point and then decide what to do. So this time we did make it to the halfway point and had a 20-lap shootout to the end and got caught up in a wreck with another car. Racing really hard, got together off at 4 and wound up in the fence and ended my race. But yeah, it seems like at Darlington, if you can make it to the finish with an undamaged car, you have a really good shot at the top 10 this week. It's been wild.
I don't know. I keep getting run over. I know I'm slow, and I just tell people go around. But when it's a one groove track like it is here, people don't know how to go around. They're just push you out of the way. It's crazy. All right, Kyle, what'd you do?
Well, I wrecked in like every one of them. I was running good Friday night, I believe it is, for the Open, and I was running the top 10. I had a lap car wipe out going into turn 1 ahead of me, and I thought he was fine because he was down on the apron there, but then out of nowhere he came right across my left monitor out of the center monitor and nailed me and popped my motor. So that was pretty much the end of it. I think the best finish I had was last night. I ended up finishing, I think, 14th in the fixed series.
Right.
I have no that I can recall up until this week. I had no experience on Darlington, so this is my first experience with it, and I'd rather go back to Bristol.
Well, like PJ said, it's one of the toughest tracks there is, and it takes a while to get a handle on it.
Well, let's see, I ran that race Thursday afternoon, I think, and that was the only race I've ever finished at this track. Past 3 years I've wrecked, so I'll take it.
Nice. All right, Dave Smith, what'd you do?
Well, personally, I love going to Darlington. I enjoy the challenge of going there. Wednesday, I missed a good opportunity to have a good run. There early in the race, I got into somebody else's mess, and I hated it because I had a really good car. And thanks to Carlos for the setups this week, they were awesome. But that Wednesday night race in the Open, we had, it was nice, cool temperature, track temp. It was real fast. Setup was great. I got into somebody else's mess, and that ruined my night for Wednesday. And then Thursday for the Open race, I had some stutters.
Me,
I think so. I think I was in that race with you. Yeah, I had some stutters that I was dealing with on my computer, and I ended up coming out of turn 2 it was, and I had a stutter, and I ended up going up into the wall and tearing my car up, and just didn't have a good race. And then Friday I was able to finally put something together, and I finished 3rd, and so I got my good run for the week on Friday night. And as it sits right now in Division 3 points, I am points leader by 205 going into Richmond.
All right. So points leader in your division, so go get it, man.
Oh, I'm going to get it. I've come this far. I ain't giving up now.
Well, I mean, on our team, Brad Wren was running third, and then he had to quit because he lost internet because he moved to somewhere they don't have internet. And now Kyle has fallen from second to seventh because he's had some bad weeks. So you're it, Dave. You're the only one up there.
I don't have any intentions of losing that top spot. I took it over at Indianapolis, and I'm not looking back. I've already started working on the setup for Richmond. I ran probably 5 hours of private practice yesterday, working on the setup. It's all eyes forward. I don't even care if I win. Yeah, I'd like to get another win or two before the season's out, but from here on out, I'm points racing.
Points racing.
Top five, top five, top five. That's all I'm shooting for. Whatever else I get, I'll take.
Well, we're here to support you, so let us know what we can do. We'll be helping you with those setups too. Okay, let's move on. Week 13 is this week. We're recording Monday night. The build is tomorrow, Tuesday, so September 6th. They're going to have a great lineup for Week 13. They're having a tribute to Brian Clausen. One of the races is named after him, Brian Clausen tribute. And that's you'll also be able to drive the legendary Circuit de la Sarthe, also known as Le Mans. So that will be released as well. They're going to have the 30 lappers at Charlotte Legends Track, Lanier, Oxford Plains, and South Boston, and Thompson. And the NASCAR Series setting up shop in Virginia during Week 13. And then obviously the NASCAR iRacing Series is at Richmond. So that's what's going on this week. And tomorrow, don't forget about the testdrive.iracing.com is the website, I believe, where you can sign in and run any content, even if you don't own it, while the build is being put out.
I think the other notable mention is after Le Mans is out, one of the other things that Week 13 is also offering is the 24 minutes of Le Mans.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So after that build is complete, you'll have a 24-minute race at the at Le Mans. I'm actually looking forward to that. I'm gonna get into that.
They're gonna run it like hourly, or probably.
It didn't say.
Yeah. But if it's only 24 minutes, yeah, you could probably do hourly.
Oh, I'll run
I would guess hourly.
I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I plan on running that a little bit.
If you're going to buy the track, yeah.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to that track for a while now. So I'll be definitely on that. That's where you'll find me.
All right, well, speaking of that, let's jump right into iRacing released a video this week of Le Mans, kind of teasing it. It did say work in progress. And then, Carlos, you said they put out another teaser video earlier today, too.
That was on Inside Sim Racing. I think they have some sort of affiliation with iRacing, but yeah, they had just somewhat of an interesting, just talking about a first look at it, about the track and the whole new build.
Right.
Actually looked quite nice. They had the whole flag deal too. You could see the flags moving.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have the moving flags. So.
Yep.
All right, let's jump to the next topic. I found a tidbit in the forum from Tony Gardner, who says, we are likely to have 3 different versions of the Dirt Late model. However, all 3 will be for the price of one car. Really just mainly 3 different engines with /horsepower. Additionally, we will probably only pick one for the official series, at least to start. And he also said, I was actually just watching Steve and Dave Kramer driving the Dirt Late model at Eldora on a local build. So they actually have dirt running in the office at iRacing.
That's really cool. I think I'm going to be one of the guys that's really pumped up about that. Most of my background, of course, is asphalt short track racing, but really always love watching the dirt stuff. It's going to be an experience for a lot of us asphalt guys to get out there and sling those cars around, and It's gonna be a heck of a learning curve. I think a lot of us probably just hope that we don't get disqualified for incident limit in our first few races.
So I was just thinking visually how it might look on my triples. Am I going to be looking at the left monitor as we go around the corner and the thing is sideways? Or actually, I mean the right one?
Yeah, I imagine we're gonna have to be looking out that right side of the windshield or right screen as we're going sideways through the corners, just so we can see those real life sprint car and dirt late model guys doing.
I don't care if I'm looking backwards. I'm gonna have a blast doing it.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. He also said the car is in art and production. My guess is rally racing comes out the season after the dirt oval racing. So it sounds like they're starting with dirt oval, and then later they'll bring in rally racing.
See, I'm not really looking forward to that rally cross, whatever it is they're doing there. I'm not really looking forward to that. I'm an oval guy, so dirt oval is where you'll find me.
Right. Okay, so moving on, we did say the build will be tomorrow. They did announce that. They did do release notes. So, Kyle, do you want to just trade off with me on the release notes here? I'll read the first part. The first part is kind of an overview here, and I'm just going to read it out loud because it does list basically all the big things that are in the Season 4 release. So here it goes. The season adds a long-awaited Le Mans to the iRacing service. Some extensive updates to dynamic track system have also been added that should increase the realism of heat mapping and make rubber have a bit more of an impact on your race. Brake bias adjustment is now also available in fixed setup series to a small host of vehicles. Guess what? That's NASCAR, boys. We got brake bias.
About time.
Your experience at night tracks has also been improved with the dynamic night shadow maps system, and every vehicle windshield should now appear more realistic with real-time reflections.
Now, speaking of that, the anti-sim racing video I talked about, they show that. So go check that out.
All right. A new character model has taken the driver's seat and is also positioned in the pits. And you should start to see wind-animated flags appearing at race courses. We are also launching preliminary support for OpenVR, HTC Vive headsets, and anti-aliasing in our virtual reality views. All of these, along with a host of setup updates, bug fixes, and other enhancements, are here for Season 4. So I'll pick up the first individual one here, and then Kyle, you can jump in after that. Q-bar on the frame rate connection status meter now has two side-by-side meters. The original value is on the left-hand bar, and it shows the amount of packet loss from the race server to the sim. The right-hand bar, which grows from right to left, shows the amount of packet loss from the sim to the race server. So now your Q-bar has two values, and you'll see one of your data going and one of your data coming.
That's going to be different.
Yeah, we'll have to get used to that. And it should be interesting to see which one is red.
Right, yeah. Well, they also did, when you use the share a car setup capability in the garage screen inside the sim, the name of the setup is now also sent and will be displayed to the recipients.
I like this.
Saves me time.
Because when somebody shares a set and you don't name it how it was originally named, you know, it's named something different, right?
Yeah, which makes it harder for the people you shared it with to reference back to, because they don't get it named the same thing that you had it named. So it makes it confusing. So this takes the confusion out of it, and so when you're working with somebody, it's easier to reference that setup back and forth.
Yeah, it's a nice change. It should have always been that way.
I agree.
All right, next was increase the effective starting usage level, which controls the amount of rubber on the track for sessions that have a short practice and an attached qualifying prior to a race. So they're basically starting everything with more rubber is what it sounds like.
And that would be every session, really, because that's how they're set up now.
Yep.
Next, they improved the calculations used to conduct heat from the tire into the track and updated the conduction and convection model for the track surface. This results in lower starting track temperatures, but a significantly more dynamic range when cars interact with the track.
So big changes for dynamic track.
So is this going to even out our drastic swings, or do you think we're still going to have those drastic swings?
I think it's going to make it so that you have to change the car a lot more as the race goes on. It's going to start off really tight, then towards the end of the race, when track's heated up and all the rubber's put down, it's going to be pretty slick, and you're going to have to tighten your car up in the pits to adjust for it. But I guess we'll find out that first week in NIS or Peak Antifreeze Series when we get 43 cars out there. It's gonna be a heck of an experience.
Like I was
you
thinking,
guys are going to be changing it all the time because you got 43 cars on the track. It's more than an NIS race.
I was thinking the groove would heat up in a way where you would have to like seek an alternate groove because it was too slick there, Like you're searching for grip, kind of thing.
That'd be cool too.
We'll see. I mean, it just sounds like they're making tweaks to dynamic track, trying to make it more realistic, to make it better, to make it how it should be. Okay, Kyle.
Oh, hold on, I lost myself here.
Well, I'll pick it up then. The tearing of the rubber from the tires versus from the track has been adjusted so that when a tire is not sliding, it is more inclined to pick up track rubber. Also, the calculations for determining the thickness of the track rubber under the contact patch and the rate at which the track will accept rubber have each been improved. So they're making changes to that too, how the rubber comes off the tire.
Yeah, I know there's been a lot of complaints about how you can't really tell that there's rubber or anything, so maybe that's what it is they're actually trying to make it come out a little more, I guess.
All right, and then go ahead.
The dynamic track system now assumes there is some residual starting dust on the track even before any simulated running of cars or cleaning for a session is performed. The amount of starting dust is related to how much dirt and gravel is around that track, such that a track like Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca is more prone to being dusty than a track like Talladega Superspeedway. Well, that makes sense.
First lap out at Laguna, it might be dusty or something. You kicking up dust?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly, because it's got all of that dirt surrounding the circuit, and so when the track is just sitting with no usage, and you get the wind that's blowing, it's simulating that it's kicking up that dust up onto the track. And so like Talladega, it's paved all the way around down at the bottom. There's no dirt, so Talladega is not going to have little to any.
All right. Next was dust will now be picked up and thrown due to air displacement near moving vehicles. So like if there's a dust cloud and you drive through it, the dust cloud doesn't just sit there, it actually moves because you drove through it.
Yeah, so the dust is becoming dynamic now.
Perfect.
Oh boy. New driver character model has been fully implemented into all vehicles. The new driver has been shifted into a more accurate position in some vehicles than the previous driver. Due to the new driver model, the driver camera position in some cars can be adjusted slightly for a better perspective. All vehicle seat belts now change color to match driver selections.
So this will be interesting to see. And the part about moving your driver position, I wonder if that's going to be needed, after the build.
Well, quite possibly.
And make sure you practice before you get into an official race.
Well, I already set mine so that my head's kind of tipped down just a little bit from their stock, so
All right, next, the pit box characters behind the wall and the lollipop guy are now using a new character model.
Yeah, hopefully this is in a step for pit crews.
Animated
sometime
crews,
down the
we
road.
know they're
Yes.
coming. All right, Kyle.
Oh, and then I guess the last subject on there, DirectX 9. Our support for using DirectX 9 as the graphics system used by the simulation is winding down. We talked about this last week. If you're currently using DX9, your selection will be changed to DX11 one time upon installing this build. If you run into issues using DX11, you should work with the support team, and you can get a hold of them at support@iRacing.com to resolve it, as we will not be implementing new graphical features on DX9 and will eventually remove the ability to use it altogether, quite possibly as soon as the December build. For now, you can switch back to the DX9 version of the sim if needed by opening the tool panel and on the central navigation bar on the website and disabling the use of DX11. Again, you should work with support to resolve any issues you encounter with DX11, as the option to fall back to DX9 will not remain forever.
Yeah, and finally, they say a hard, well, it's not hard, but they did mention the December build, quite possibly, they will stop using DX9. So all of you guys on the old hardware, you need to get switched over. This is the time to do it. So you have 3 months to sort it out before it goes away. So don't just be lazy and switch it back to DX9 after the build. Try to make DX11 work. Because if you don't, come December, you're not going to be iRacing.
Yeah, that's the only way iRacing can really move forward graphically is to get off of that old DX9. So you're going to have to put forth a little bit of effort to getting your system to running DX11.
Yeah. And it's just, it might just be tweaking the graphical settings and stuff, but they'll work with you. Contact them or contact any other iRacers. The community is very helpful. I'm always helping people on Facebook all the time with hardware and stuff. All right, the next item they announced that I'm going to bring up is a surprise. And he says a previously unannounced special edition will be brought to iRacing during the first week of the Season 4 build. Be sure to visit iRacing.com at 1 p.m. Eastern for a special presentation on Tuesday, September 13th, 2016. They're having like a press conference, or they're going to announce it on social media or on the website. So what do you guys think they're announcing is the big topic here?
I bet it's an LMP1.
I'm not holding my hand over my butt that it's
Yeah.
going to be anything too exciting.
I'm saying it's the day-night transitions.
I hate to get too excited about any of this stuff. I'll say new car.
A car for Le Mans, maybe.
Maybe, if we're lucky. Maybe it may just be a touring car.
I was
And
telling
it's gonna-
Carlos, might be like a licensing deal, like with Ferrari, like something that's unexpected. Remember, he said a previously unannounced, so it's not something that's been on the radar at all. So I was thinking maybe it's a licensing deal with some manufacturer, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to get excited over new builds, but then when iRacing stops working for the next 2 weeks after it rolls out, I don't get really too excited for them anymore.
All right, so stay tuned for a special surprise. There's a huge forum post about the surprise and what people might think it is, and somebody actually they're 17 pages long. Somebody made a poll. It was 980 votes, and the winner was 36% said a new car or a track license, and then second in points, 25% was day-night transition. Third was other.
Yeah, looking back at the day-night transition, that might not be so far-fetched, because if you look at that Le Mans video on Inside Sim Racing, you can see, like, I don't know, the time of day looks different than what we have now. It looks like like a transition between night to morning, but not really. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it. It has like a pinkish look to the sky.
Oh, Carlos has a clue.
But they already have those options available
Yeah, but
to where you can go from a morning to an afternoon or an evening setting.
But most
so
of the
it could be one of those options that we already have available to us that they're using.
Yeah, it could be another like an extra one they add in. I was just saying it looked weird compared to what we got now. That's just me though.
All right, so we didn't go over everything in the bill, but we went over a lot. So moving on, Road to Pro, we talk about a lot because I like to promote it. It's coming up. They released a schedule. They also this week released a couple videos, or a video, kind of promoting this year's NASCAR Pro Series. Begins November 7th. And what do you think, PJ? Is this going to be a competitive series, or are you going to be watching?
Oh yeah, I'll be watching. We have about a handful of drivers from our team that are going to be attempting to go for pro this time around. I think it's going to be probably the hardest round to make it ever because there's no mulligans this time. It's one race and that's it. So you can't go out there and crash out of your first 3 races like you used to be able to, then get good points in the 4th race. So it's going to separate the guys who are a little bit smarter about their driving, who are a little more apt to be finishing races rather than the ones that are going to go out there and go drive all out, push their cars beyond where they're supposed to be and crash. So
like try to win live one.
Yeah, it's gonna be the same way for road and oval. So it's gonna weed out some drivers, and some people are gonna be upset. But overall, I think it's gonna really reward the smarter drivers and I guess the lucky ones too to some extent.
I've been trying to promote this to get some lower iRating people to go ahead and run it anyway. Even though you're never going to get enough points to be in the top 40, but still, let's run it. Like it is the NASCAR iRacing series. It's a great off-season series to run. So I've been promoting it, trying to get people interested in it, and hopefully we're going to, have several splits because there's going to be hundreds of drivers showing up. So we'll see.
Oh yeah, especially where it only interferes with NIS for I believe 3 weeks, and
right.
Even then it's the same.
But it's
track.
a Tuesday night, yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't really conflict. It's a good warm-up race for the Wednesday night NIS race, even if nothing else.
So what do you think, PJ, about the Sonoma being on that short schedule list? Some people are saying, hey, it should all be ovals.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's no longer called the Oval Pro Series. It's called NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series.
True.
So NASCAR, Xfinity, look at them. They race 3 road courses a year. It's in the trucks now. 2 races in Sprint Cup. So, 1 out of 9 races. I think it's a pretty good balance. I wish there weren't any drops whatsoever, personally. But, it's good to have one just for those weeks. Emergencies come up, computer crashes, or all the number of other things that can go on in the sim racing environment. So I like to see it. Sonoma is a driver's track, and you see the guys that can really drive are the ones who are going to be winning there.
Yep. So obviously there's a Road to Pro on the road side. We haven't talked too much about it, but I want people to be aware that there's obviously a Road to Pro on the road side, but also the blank pane one, as PJ mentioned earlier.
Yep, and road, of course, is also 1 race a week on the Formula 1 cars. Same time as Road DWC, which is 10 o'clock in the morning, or come then it'll be 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. And the blank pane series, we're a little bit lucky. For better or worse, we're going to still have 3 races a weekend as far as I know right now. So a couple mulligans there, and unfortunately NX is going to have to run that one this time around because we have to requalify all 3 teams because of driver changes in the lineup. So
I see.
I'm busy with that this come season 4 for sure.
Now, do all these current peak guys still have to run that to retain their license, or how's that work?
What it is the top 30 from Peak Antifreeze series will get to keep their licenses for next year, and the bottom 20 will fall out, and they will have to run the Road to Pro series over again with regular A-class drivers. So they're going to have to fight for their way back in. So that's going to even add to the competitiveness of that first couple of splits there come season 4. So it's going to be
you're
tough.
going to have seasoned guys in there.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at some of the guys that are fighting for the bubble, a lot of them are, even still, you say, hey, you finished 30th in Peak Antifreeze series, but it's guys that can go out there and win your regular NIS top split, so it's going to be competitive for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm going to be running it, even though I won't be in those upper splits, but it'll be fun. Let's keep moving. I have an update on the forum post called Red Q Bar, and it's for the people that have that problem where they get the red Q Bar and then get disconnected. There's a lot of people in that boat. There's been a change. Steve Meyer from iRacing put up a post and basically said they've moved the Carb Cup races to a different server that's located outside of their primary data center. And it's a troubleshooting move. And what he wants you to do, if you have the red Q bar problem, he wants you to run those Carb Cup races, a bunch of them, and see if you have the problem, see if you get disconnected, and then report back. And then that's how they're really taking the next step on trying to fix this. Is they're trying to narrow it down. Is it our data center? Is it our server? Is it our software? What is it? So this is a great idea to take that server and physically put it somewhere else and see what happens. So help them out, guys.
That, and also remember, fill out those feedback forms after your race, every race. Just fill them out. What's it take you, 10 seconds to fill that out? 4 clicks?
Oh, I'm sure a lot of people are I'm always putting low connection problems because I continually have problems, but a lot of people are probably voting low on that, would be my guess.
I've always had high ones because I don't have the connection issues, but either way, just to get it out there for anybody listening, make sure you're filling those out. Any feedback helps us.
Yep. All right, Kyle, let's jump into hardware before we finish up.
Talk about the Fanatec again. We talked about it last week.
Yeah, the CSL is what it's called, and David Tucker from iRacing actually has one.
Yep.
He has an early beta version of it. And he said it, and his comments are, it's a nice, almost entry-level wheel and complements their CSW V2 perfectly. It has 6 nanometers of torque, which is great for a $300 wheel. In practice, it feels a lot like the CSW V2. The only thing that really stands out is different is the case is plastic. So that's the wheel guru himself, and sounds like he said, the only difference that he saw was the case, which is kind of what Lance was telling us last week.
Yeah, that's what we talked about last week, whether we were wondering if it was going to be that was the change between the price for plastic to metal or not. So I guess he confirmed it.
Yeah, it sounds like the horsepower, or so to speak, is similar. He doesn't say, he said it feels a lot like the V2, so.
That's interesting. I'm definitely going to be looking into it. Like I said last week, I was planning on going Fanatec next year when I do my wheel upgrade, and I might look into that rather than spending $600 on that other one.
All right, final topic tonight, digital race engineer. If you search those 3 words in the forums, you'll find the post where you can get a free voice attack plugin that I am going to recommend. I'm going to give my final update. This will be the last time we talk about it on this podcast for now, because I'm happy with it. I'm not going to go to the paid version, I've decided. I like what it does with the free version, and I just don't see the need to go to the paid one. So you might feel differently. I would say try it out if you're running voice attack. with this free plugin, there is some tweaking to make the profile similar to what I had to do before. So I went in, made a few changes, and it's way better than what I had previously. So previously I had my own profile. It did certain things for me, and I was happy with it. So now with this plugin, it does all those same things that I had before, plus way much more, okay? It has more functionality. There's a proactive verbal messages. Like when there's a lead change, it tells me who the new leader is. When the guy in front of me or behind me pits, it lets me know that proactively. It does stuff. If I change position, it tells me what my new position is. It does all this cool stuff like that. The other neat thing it does is the ability to type text chats into the sim via your voice, and that alone I think is worth the price of admission here to try this. If you always wanted to try to type at the top of the screen like some of these guys do quickly while you're driving, now you can do it verbally. You just literally tell it what you want it to type, and it types it. If I was looking at this again for the first time today and starting over, I'd probably go pro off the bat and then tweak it and go ahead and get the paid version. But because I've made changes, I don't want to have to download the pro version and then go back and try to figure out all the changes I made. So I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm happy with it. So the hardest part of using it is you're going to have to use the default key mapping assignments in iRacing. So if you've changed your key assignments, you would have to change them back. The other thing is I'm looking for a way to map the audio output of the voice attack to a non-default audio device, my headphones. I currently have speakers as the default, and so when the voice attack comes out of those, I can't hear it very well, and so to get them to come to the headphones, you have to set the headphones as the default audio device. This is kind of a pain because I have to do it every time I go racing, change the audio default. Trying to find a workaround to that. I haven't found it yet, but I'm okay with the workaround I have, I guess, and until I figure it out. So check it out. Digital Race Engineer. It's like having a better spotter almost. All right, and let's jump into final thoughts and wrap it up. I'll start with PJ Sturgios. Thank you so much for coming on. I hope that good luck from our podcast rubs off for you in Darlington. And that's why we wanted you to come on. And then maybe later in the season, we'll have you back and you can tell us about it. But yeah, thanks so much. What are your final thoughts?
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's been fun. Yeah, it's definitely looking forward to fighting this end of the season out with Ray. It's going to be a lot of fun, even no matter the result. I mean, it's cool just to even say I've had the chance to race for a championship in this level. Given that my sim racing career, gosh, back in 2009 when I first started the iRacing, I just was happy just to be competitive in the top split. So, come a long way, and it's gonna be a tough battle, but it's been having a lot of fun this year with that, and especially with the Blank Pain GT series, which we're also going for the championship with. So hopefully we can at least pick up one of them, and yeah, definitely looking forward to it.
All right, well, much good luck to you. Carlos, final thoughts.
What's the next race we're doing? Oh, the Richmond. Yeah, looking forward to it, kind of, depending on how the setup plays out. And really looking forward to the new content with this new build that gets released tomorrow.
All right, Kyle Fleischman, final thoughts.
Well, looking forward to going to Richmond. I usually run pretty well there, so again, I want to thank PJ for coming on with us tonight, and good luck to you next week. Like we said earlier, Ray came on right Monday night before the Michigan race and ended up winning it, so hopefully you can turn the stakes on him this week.
And that's not the first time that's happened either, folks. We've had Logan Clampett came on and won something right after he came on once, and there was another guy too, and I can't remember the name. Dave Smith, what are your final thoughts?
Well, like everybody else said, I'm looking forward to going to Richmond in the NIS series, and hopefully I can continue to stretch out my points lead. So I have points in the bag. If something happens, I got points in the bag. I don't like the idea of falling on a drop week. I like to run every week for points and try to make my best effort. But I'm more so looking forward to what the new dynamic track changes are going to do for the racing. I'm really looking to see if those changes offer a better highline racing. And the way that Richmond has gone here as of late, that middle groove at Richmond and the real NASCAR races have been used more and more extensively over the past 2 or 3 years than it used to. So I want to know if that's going to translate over at all with this new dynamic track build or not.
Yep. Yeah, good luck on the championship hunt there for you. I'm also my final thoughts, I'm looking forward to the build as well. And oh my God, another full-length race this week? Another one? Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Oh my God. As everyone knows, I'm not a fan of. There's just way too many of these full-length races in the NIS series. It's crazy. We need to get these back to special events, folks. This is too much. And my other final thought is, hey, we want to hear from our listeners. And we have been hearing from some of our listeners. So keep the feedback coming. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, you name it. So hit us up. Tell us what you want us to talk about. Or if you want to be a guest, you can always ask that too. So with that, see ya.
Take care.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast. Make sure to go subscribe to us at our YouTube channel at iRacers Lounge. Follow on Twitter and Facebook at iRacers Lounge and SoundCloud at iRacers Lounge. See you on the track.